Green Gables! The first book I want to talk to you about is called Unplanned by Abby Johnson. It's the story for his glory, or the life story of Abby Johnson. Who is Abby Johnson, you ask? Well, let me tell you. Abby Johnson is someone who started out as a college student volunteering for Planned Parenthood, then went to part-time employee, then became director at one of the largest centers in Texas, and now runs a pro-life organization that actually helps healthcare workers in the abortion industry who are trying to leave and pursue other avenues of serving others. So, this book was incredible because Abby is very real. She's very authentic, and one of the two aspects of Abby's character that really drew me to her is when she gets passionate about something, she throws herself into it 360 degrees. She is 200% in, and she loves Jesus, and she loves women. So, yes. So let me describe to you a little bit about the book. So, the book starts when Abby is a freshman at Texas A&M, and she goes to an involvement fair, and she sees this table with very bright, eye-catching marketing, and it says Planned Parenthood. And so she's like, I've heard about this organization, Planned Parenthood. I know it causes a lot of controversy, but I don't really know what it's about. Let me go talk to the person. So she walks up and talks to the person behind the table, and the person describes Planned Parenthood as, we are an organization that helps women who are down and out. We provide health care, and we advocate on behalf of women. And she's like, hey, I want to help provide health care. I want to, reach the underserved population. I want to help women. Sign me up. And so she starts out as a volunteer in a role that's called an escort. An escort is literally someone who would guide a potential client from their car, the 3 feet to the doorway of the Planned Parenthood clinic, so that they would stay safe, just because of how tense feelings and emotions and actions can get around abortion. Yeah, so that was the first surprising thing, is whoa, potential clients need an escort to stay safe. The 3 feet it takes them to walk to the clinic. So, and then eventually Abby progresses from dedicated volunteer to part-time employee to full-time director of the clinic once the current director of the clinic retires. Now the interesting thing is Abby was actually raised in an evangelical Christian home, and especially when she was a director, was very active in her church, attended Bible study, found other ways to serve the community, etc. Yet she says that she felt like there was this barrier between herself and her relationship with the Lord. And she was uncomfortable with this, but didn't know what to do with it, so she just kind of ignored it and was like, whatever, it's fine, let's go on. Well, one of the things Abby told herself when she took the director role, real life, lunch was good, was I won't support late-term abortions, and abortions are okay, because babies don't feel pain. And one day, she's sitting in her office working on some billing paperwork, la 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 la, and a nurse comes, sticks her head in Abby's office, is like, hey, Abby, we need you to help with an abortion procedure. And she's like, really? And the nurse is like, yeah, just hold the ultrasound probe, I'll tell you what to do. And so she's like, okay. So she goes into the the abortion procedure room, and this is me pantomiming, holding the ultrasound probe. The nurse tells her where to hold the ultrasound probe and how to hold it, and the first thing she thinks of when she sees the baby on the ultrasound screen is how formed the baby is, like how whole and how human, just in miniature, they look. And the second thing is like, oh my goodness, this looks like my little daughter when my husband and I saw her on the ultrasound screen. So she starts internally wigging out, but she's like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna have a poker face, and I'm not gonna show like the patient that I feel uncomfortable with this. And then the doctor like inserts the needle, and the baby like tries. Oh, by the way, if this bothers you, just fast forward a minute or two. And the baby like tries to pull away from the needle, and then once the needle makes contact, the baby is in pain and trying to twist away, and then eventually she sees the baby's spine collapse, and then the screen goes black because they're done with the ultrasound portion. And so Abby abruptly leaves the room, and she goes into her office and tries to collect herself enough so that she doesn't draw attention to herself, and she leaves and goes out the back of the clinic. Now where she headed, you ask? Well, like only God can orient things. There was actually an office for the Center for the Coalition for Life right next to the abortion clinic. And over the last 10 years or so, these employees had been building relationships with Abby, inviting her to lunch, offering to pray for her and her family. And so when she's having her wig out moment, she goes straight to the Center for the Coalition of Life office, asks to speak with the director, Sean, and she's like, I'm done. I'm out of here. No more. I want to leave. Help me get out. And so the rest of the book is about how she leaves and how Planned Parenthood reacts, and even though you had a negative reaction, how the Lord uses that nationwide and global reaction to help launch through Abby's story and then the Renown organization, which is an organization that helps former abortion industry healthcare workers financially, by finding new jobs, and legally by providing legal representation, and emotionally through providing counseling and etc. So if you want to be inspired to follow after Jesus with everything that you have, and just use your life circumstances to help others, I recommend checking out Unplanned. The link will be in the bio. Go click it, guys. Go click it. Okay, guys. So the second book that I wanted to talk to you about is by one of my favorite biblical historical novel authors, Mesu. It's called A Fire and Lions, and it's a book about the life of the prophet Daniel, starting from the time of the Babylonian exile. So when he was a teenager, 12 or 13, depending, and then all the way through the end of the Babylonian exile, when King Cyrus releases the Israelite people to leave Babylon and go back to Jerusalem. Since we don't know if Daniel was actually a part of the the post-exilic exodus back to Jerusalem, Mesu leaves it where it's a year or so before the actual return to Jerusalem, and just focuses on Daniel helping his son get ready to go back. That way we stay true to the biblical record, because that's paramount. And one thing that I want to say is, like, what I love about biblical historical novel authors such as Mesu Andrews, Jill Eileen Smith, Tessa Afshar, Colin Cassette, is at the beginning and the end of their books, they always say, like these books are meant to inspire you to go read scripture, and nothing can replace scripture. This is to just get your imagination going, which I love that. So this book was very moving. It was longer, about like 390 pages, but it only took me 3 days to read it because it was spring break. So, and you guys, I mean, I'm a bookworm, but I was hooked. Like, the characters that you meet, the experiences that they go through are so real life. It's like, wow. And like, you might be like, Emily, like, this was in the 1st century Middle East, and we're in the 21st century Midwest, like, in the middle of a cornfield. What do you mean it was relatable? Well, like, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, not just at the time when they were kids with the vegetable tests, or when they were older, when Dina was older with the lion's death, did they have to make these choices? But even in a culture that was very not friendly, let's put it that way, to Yahweh, and it would have been so much easier to just toe King Nebuchadnezzar's line, or just go with what everyone else is doing. They made conscious choices on the regular, whether it was their diet, or their deciding to pray, or just trying to make decisions as governors that were still respectful to King Nebuchadnezzar, but choosing to govern based off of Yahweh's law. What's very applicable to today, I feel like. You can still stand for Christ and be very direct and clear, but you can still be gentle about it, but yet have certain things where you're like, nope, we're not going there, we're not doing that. But you don't have, so some themes in the book that really stuck out to me were that it is possible to be faithful to the Lord and biblical precepts, even in a culture that's very not that. And sometimes your witness for the Lord shines brighter because the situation you find yourself in is so dark, if that makes sense. And then the other thing is, because Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and a female character who ends up being Daniel's wife, they do, leave when they're kids, and it's not like the Babylonians sent them a text, like, hey, we're gonna kidnap you and take you captive. Okay, like, these people do deal with some PTSD, and so there's some brokenness there, and like some questions of self-worth, and does God love me, and does God hear me? And the question, and the answer is yes, He does hear you, and yes, He does love you. But the second theme that really stuck out to me about the book was that God chooses broken people, God loves broken people, and He will even use that specific area of brokenness, that very thing that you're scared of, to bring glory to Himself. So, if you want to be encouraged in that, then I recommend this book. And there's also a fabulous companion Bible study that was published by YouVersion